Ibn Arabi said that the greatest prison a human being creates is the prison of other people's opinions. We burn half of our lives asking, who is good? Who is bad? Who wronged me? Who spoke against me? Yet in truth, those we give so much of our energy to often do not even remember us. The Sufi masters remind us, you are not responsible for how others treat you. You are responsible for what you allow to live inside your heart. Evil and betrayal will always exist in the world. Someone will deceive you, someone will insult you, someone will stain your name. But Ibn Arabi said, the world is nothing but mirrors. What you see in others is often a reflection of what you choose to carry. Their actions belong to their own story, but the way you respond, that is the script of your soul. Think of it like this. You are walking on the road and a man pours a bucket of mud on you. You now have two choices. One is to scream, curse his name, and spend your entire day obsessed with that dirt. The other is to quietly wash yourself, put on fresh clothes, and continue your journey. Wisdom is not in clinging to filth, but in returning quickly to purity. Ibn Arabi said, the heart was created to be a throne for God, not a vessel for bitterness. When we hold on to anger, the mud of another begins to rot our thoughts, dim our light, and hollow our being. The wrong belongs to them, but the choice to clutch it to our chest, that foolishness belongs to us. What matters is not who hurt you, but how large you allowed that wound to grow inside. Ibn Arabi said that when you give your mind to another's ugliness, you give away the most precious thing you own, your attention. What you focus on grows. If you keep turning the wheel of someone else's faults, your own journey halts. You forget why you were born. You forget the path of your soul. He compared such distractions to dogs barking on the road. If you stop every time a dog barks and fight with it, how will you ever reach your destination? The dog's noise is his condition. But if you let that noise breed anger, envy, or hatred in your chest, then his sickness becomes your sickness. Evil cannot harm you from outside. It becomes poison only when you invite it inside. Ibn Arabi wrote, the heart is like clear water. What you drop into it will reflect back at you. A wise person does not wrestle in the mud of others. He tends to his own garden, nurturing his own fragrance. He knows this short life is given so that his flower may bloom, not so that his beauty may be wasted in bitterness. You always stand between two choices. Clutch the filth others throw at you until your soul grows heavy, or leave it on the ground and continue free, light, and alive. Ask yourself, what is the most precious thing you truly own? Not your money, your house, your name, or your fame. These are all shadows vanishing with time. Your greatest treasure is your I, your essence, your inner child, pure and innocent, full of life. Yet every day we wound that inner child with the thorns of other people's hatred and criticism. It is like a man who, when garbage is thrown at his door, carries it inside and decorates his living room with it. Would you call this wisdom? And yet, this is what we do. Someone throws words of poison at us, and instead of leaving them outside, we seat them in our hearts like honored guests. Ibn Arabi would say, your soul is the true trust given to you by God, and your greatest duty is to protect it. People will lie, betray, and deceive. That belongs to their condition. The outer world is not in your control, but the inner world, that is entirely in your hands. You decide which voices you allow to echo inside you and which you leave outside like passing winds. If someone curses you and you refuse to invite that curse into your heart, then it dies in the air, powerless. The problem is never in the insult. It is in whether you swallow it or not. Ibn Arabi taught, "The heart is a mirror polished by remembrance. If you allow dirt to settle on it, you will no longer see the face of God within." Imagine a man carrying fire. If you meet him like dry wood, you will burn. But if you stand like stone, his flames will rage around you without touching your essence. Your true self, your I, must be like that stone, innocent, pure, untouchable. This innocence is your strength. Protect it as a mother guards her child, for your soul is that child. If it weeps, breaks, or dies, then all else is meaningless. Why should you poison your own heart with the venom of another's wounds? Their deceit comes from their upbringing, their pain, their blindness. It belongs to them, not you. He said, "Do not let the darkness of others settle inside you." Your task is to keep the lamp of your soul burning. This is the great secret. The world's shadows cannot harm you unless you open the door and welcome them in. Remember, man's greatest strength is not his muscles, nor his wealth, nor his connections. His greatest strength is the purity of his being, the clarity of his soul. He explained that attention is the secret fire of the soul. Scattered, it is like sunlight spread across the sky, gentle, warming, but weak. Focused, it becomes like the sun through a lens, capable of burning, transforming, creating miracles. What you give your attention to, you give your life to. If you direct that fire toward the ugliness of others, their insults, their betrayals, their shadows, then your flame is wasted there. Your mind spins endlessly in circles of bitterness, and slowly you begin to resemble the very darkness you despise. Ibn Arabi said, "What you behold, you become." The gaze is a seed that takes root in the heart. Think of it this way. If your eyes rest upon a rose, its fragrance enters you. If they rest upon a thorn, only pain grows inside. Look toward the light, and you will be filled with radiance. Look toward darkness, and it will fill you with its weight. Two men may walk the same street. One notices only the filth and calls the city foul, while the other notices the blossoms and praises the beauty of the day. Both walked the same road, yet lived two entirely different lives. The difference was not in the world, it was in their attention. Your life is surrounded by both blessings and wounds, by love and hatred, by light and shadow. What you choose to focus upon becomes the shape of your being. If you fix your gaze upon those who harmed you, you will slowly take their form. But if you place your attention upon your soul's growth, upon your dreams, upon the remembrance of God, then strength will begin to flow from within you like a hidden spring. This is why the great ones never wasted their vision on criticism or malice. They knew their attention is more precious than gold, more rare than diamonds. Tell me, if you owned a flawless jewel, would you cast it into the gutter? Of course not. Then why cast your most priceless jewel, your attention, into the garbage of other people's hatred? Ibn Arabi's teaching is clear. Guard your gaze, for wherever it rests, there your destiny is written. Ibn Arabi would remind us that the direction of your attention decides your rank before God. If it is fixed upon your growth, your remembrance, your inner purification, then no power on earth can stop you. But if it is wasted upon the faults of others, then no power can save you. For attention is the ladder by which man rises to the station of angels, or falls beneath the beasts. Now pause and reflect. What is the most precious thing you truly own? Not money, not friends or family, not house or status. The most precious treasure is time. Time is life itself. Each heartbeat is a grain of sand slipping from your hands, bringing you closer to the day when the world will close its doors to you. And yet, man squanders time more carelessly than anything else. If someone steals his money, he will fight. If someone seizes his property, he will call the law. But if someone steals his hours with petty arguments, with anger, with hatred, he gives it away willingly, smiling like a fool. He said, "The heedless one is robbed each day, yet he never cries thief. His life is taken in small pieces until nothing remains." When you dwell on others' evil, you do not merely lose peace, you lose your time, the very jewel of your existence. The hours that could have been spent in prayer, in knowledge, in building your dreams, in remembering your Lord, you donate them freely to those who do not even value you. Imagine this. A thief comes into your home and steals diamonds from your chest. Would you applaud him as he leaves? Yet every day you let people steal your hours, your years, your very life by holding on to their poison. And here's the bitter truth. You waste your nights and days thinking of those who may not even remember your name. They live in their own worlds while you set fire to your most priceless treasure, your time, burning it on their behalf. The wise are those who become masters of their time. They treat every moment as a seed and ask, "Shall I plant this in light, or shall I throw it into shadows?" For every minute is an investment, and one day before God, you will be asked what you did with it. If you plant your time in the right place, a single year can change you completely. Tend your inner field with care, study, practice, kindness, prayer. And in 12 months, you will not recognize the small, frightened person who once wasted their days on anger. But pour those same days into other people's faults, and in a year you will be standing where you began, or worse, dug deeper into the same hole. Time is the truest judge. It never favors anyone. It only responds to how you invest it. So, why hand your hours to someone who throws dirt at you? Turn that time toward your dreams instead. Spend it on your soul's peace, on the work that brings meaning, on the quiet discipline that builds strength. The most beautiful revenge is not a shout or a scheme. It is a life so well lived that the old poison cannot reach you. Make your days into such a strong light that their slander falls short of even touching you. Remember, if an insult passes through the air and you do not take it in, it vanishes like smoke. The real harm begins when you answer it with a wound inside yourself. An outside arrow only hurts if you clutch it and drive it further. Let the arrow drop. Let the insult fall and break on the ground. Their voices, their plots, their lies, these are their ways, born of their fear and emptiness. They are not